ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم 2 فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أأتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغن عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما آتيناهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وأعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون. سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون. وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم. والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالعرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون. وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشاء نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين. وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين. وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين. ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون. ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون. إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في الأضلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم. وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم أن لا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم. ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون ومن نعمره ننكسه في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولو يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركبوهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون أولم يرى الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون صدق الله العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد عجل فرجهم ولا نعذاب.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. اللهم إني أسألك برحمتك التي وسعت كل شيء وبقوتك التي قهرت بها كل شيء وخضع لها كل شيء وظل لها كل شيء وبجبروتك التي غلبت بها كل شيء، وبعزتك التي لا يقوم لها شيء، وبعظمتك التي ملأت كل شيء، وبسلطانك الذي على كل شيء، وبوجهك الباقي بعد فناء كل شيء، وبأسمائك التي ملأت أركان كل شيء، وبعلمك الذي أحاط بكل شيء، وبنور وجهك الذي أضاء له كل شيء. يا نور يا قدوس، يا نور يا قدوس، يا نور يا قدوس، يا أول الأولين ويا آخر الآخرين. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تهتك العصام، اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل النقام، اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تغير النعام، اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تحبس الدعاء، اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تقطع الرجاء، اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل البلاء، اللهم اغفر لي كل ذنب أذنبته وكل خطيئة أخطأتها. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك بذكرك واستشفع بك إلى نفسك، وأسألك بجودك أن تدنيني من قربك، وأن توزعني شكرك، وأن تلهمني ذكرك. اللهم إني أسألك سؤال خاضع متذلل خاشع، أن تسامحني وترحمني وتجعلني بقسمك راضيا قانعا، وفي جميع الأحوال متواضعا. اللهم وأسألك سؤال من اشتدت فاقته وأنزل بك عند الشدائد حاجته، وعظم فيما عندك رغبته. اللهم عظم سلطانك وعلى مكانك، وخفي مكرك وظهر أمرك، وغلب قهرك وجرت قدرتك، ولا يمكن الفرار من حكومتك. اللهم لا أجد لذنوبي غافرا، ولا لقبائحي ساترا، ولا لشيء من عملي القبيح بالحسن مبدلا غيرك. لا إله إلا أنت، سبحانك وبحمدك. ظلمت نفسي، ظلمت نفسي، ظلمت نفسي، وتجرأت بجهلي، وسكنت إلى قديم ذكرك لي ومنك علي. اللهم مولاي، كم من قبيح سترته، وكم من فادح من البلاء قلته، وكم من عثار وقيته، وكم من مكروه دفعته، وكم من ثناء جميل لست أهلا له نشرته. اللهم عظم بلائي وأفرط بي سوء حالي، وقصرت بي أعمالي، وقعدت بي أغلالي، وحبسني عن نفعي بعد أملي، وخدعتني الدنيا بغرورها، ونفسي بخيانتها ومطالي. يا سيدي فأسألك بعزتك ألا يحجب عنك دعائي سوء عملي وفعالي، ولا تفضحني بخفي ما اطلعت عليه من سري، ولا تعاجلني بالعقوبة على ما عملته في خلواتي من سوء فعلي وإساءتي، ودوام تفريطي وجهالتي، وكثرة شهواتي وغفلتي. وكن اللهم بعزتك لي في كل الأحوال رؤوفا، وعلي في جميع الأمور عطوفا. إلهي وربي من لي غيرك، من لي غيرك أسأله كشف ضري والنظر في أمري. إلهي ومولاي أجريت علي حكما اتبعت فيه هوى نفسي، ولم أحترس فيه من تزيين عدوي، فغرني بما أهواه واسعده على ذلك القضاء، فتجاوزت بما جرى علي من ذلك بعض حدودك، وخالفت بعض أوامرك، فلك الحجة علي في جميع ذلك، ولا حجة لي فيما جرى علي فيه قضاؤك، وألزمني حكمك وبلاؤك. وقد أتيتك يا إلهي بعد تقصيري وإسرافي على نفسي، معتذرا نادما منكسرا مستقيلا مستغفرا منيبا مقرا مذعنا معترفا، لا أجد مفرا من مكان مني، ولا مفزعا أتوجه إليه في أمري غير قبولك عذري، وإدخالك إياي في سعة من رحمتك. اللهم فاقبل عذري، وارحم شدة ضري، وفكني من شدي وثاقي. يا رب ارحم ضعف بدني، ورقة جلدي، ودقة عظمي. يا من بدأ خلقي وذكري وتربيتي وبري وتغذيتي، هبني لابتداء كرمك وسالف برك بي. يا سيدي يا إلهي وسيدي وربي، أتراك معذبي بنارك بعد توحيدك، وبعد ما انطوى عليه قلبي من معرفتك، ولهج به لساني من ذكرك، واعتقده ضميري من حبك، وبعد صدق اعترافي ودعائي خاضعا لربوبيتك. هيهات هيهات، أنت أكرم من أن تضيع من ربيته، أو تبعد من أدنيته، أو تشرد من آويته، أو تسلم إلى البلاء من كفيته ورحمته. وليت شعري يا سيدي وإلهي ومولاي، أتسلط النار على وجوه خرت لعظمتك ساجدا، وعلى ألسن نطقت بتوحيدك صادقا وبشكرك مادحا، وعلى قلوب اعترفت بإلهيتك محققا، وعلى ضمائر حوات من العلم بك حتى صارت خاشعة، وعلى جوارح سعت إلى أوطان تعبدك طاعيا، وأشارت باستغفارك مذعنا. ما هكذا ظنوا بك، ولا أخبرنا بفضلك عنك يا كريم. يا كريم يا رب، وأنت تعلم ضعفي عن قليل من بلاء الدنيا وعقوباتها، وما يجري فيها من المكاره على أهلها، على أن ذلك بلاء ومكروه، قليل مكتوه، يسير بقاؤه، قصير مدته. فكيف احتمالي لبلاء الآخرة وجليل وقوع المكاره فيها، وهو بلاء تطول مدته ويدوم مقامه، ولا يخفف عن أهله، لأنه لا يكون إلا عن غضبك وانتقامك وسخطك، وهذا ما لا تقوم له السماوات والأرض. يا سيدي فكيف لي، يا سيدي فكيف لي وأنا عبدك الضعيف الضليل الحقير المسكين المستكين. يا إلهي وربي وسيدي ومولاي، لأي الأمور إليك أشكو، ولما منها أضج وأبكي، لأليم العذاب وشدته أم لطول البلاء ومدته؟ فلئن صيرتني للعقوبات مع أعدائك، وجمعت بيني وبين أهل بلائك، وفرقت بيني وبين أحبائك وأوليائك، فهبني يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي وربي. صبرت على عذابك، فكيف أصبر على فراقك؟ وهبني يا إلهي، صبرت على حر نارك، فكيف أصبر عن النظر إلى كرامتك؟ أم كيف أسكن في النار ورجاء عفوك؟ فبعزتك يا سيدي ومولاي أقسم صادقا، لئن تركتني ناطقا لأضجن إليك بين أهلها ضجيج الآملين، ولأصرخن إليك صراخ المستصرخين، ولأبكين عليك بكاء الفاقدين، ولا أنادينك أين كنت يا ولي المؤمنين؟ يا غاية آمال العارفين، يا غياث المستغيثين، يا غياث المستغيثين يا حبيب قلوب الصادقين ويا إله العالمين. أفتراك سبحانك يا إلهي وبحمدك تسمع فيها صوت عبد مسلم سجن فيها بمخالفته وذاق طعم عذابها بمعصيته وحبس بين أطباقها بجرمه وجريرته وهو يضج إليك ضجيج مؤمل لرحمتك ويناديك بلسان أهل توحيدك ويتوسل إليك بربوبيتك يا مولاي. فكيف يبقى في العذاب وهو يرجو ما سلف من حلمك؟ أم كيف تؤلمه النار وهو يأمل فضلك ورحمتك؟ أم كيف يحرقه لهيبها وأنت تسمع صوته وترى مكانه؟ أم كيف يشتمل عليه زفيرها وأنت تعلم ضعفه؟ أم كيف يتقلقل بين أطباقها وأنت تعلم صدقه؟ أم كيف تزجره زبانيتها وهو يناديك يا رباه؟ أم كيف يرجو فضلك في عتقه منها فتتركه فيها؟ هيهات هيهات ما ذلك ظنوا بك ولا المعروف من فضلك ولا مشبه لما عاملت به الموحدين من برك وإحسانك. فباليقين أقطع لولا ما حكمت به من تعذيب جاحديك وقضيت به من إخلاد معانديك لجعلت النار كلها بردا وسلاما وما كان لأحد فيها مقرا ولا مقاما لكنك تقدست أسماؤك أقسمت أن تملأها من الكافرين من الجنة والناس أجمعين وأن تخلد فيها المعاندين وأن تجل ثناؤك قلت مبتدئا وتطولت بالإنعام متكرما أفمن كان مؤمنا كمن كان فاسقا لا يستوون. إلهي وسيدي فأسألك بالقدرة التي قدرتها وبالقضية التي حتمتها وحكمتها وغلبت من عليه أجريتها أن تهب لي في هذه الليلة وفي هذه الساعة كل جرم أجرمته وكل ذنب أذنبته وكل قبيح أسررته وكل جهل عملته كتمته أو أعلنته أخفيته أو أظهرته وكل سيئة أمرت بإثباتها الكرام الكاتبين الذين وكلتهم بحفظ ما يكون مني وجعلتهم شهودا علي مع جوارحي وكنت أنت الرقيب علي من ورائهم والشاهد لما خفي عنهم وبرحمتك أخفيته وبفضلك سترته وأن توفر حظي من كل خير أنزلته أو إحسان فضلته أو بر نشرته أو رزق بسطته أو ذنب تغفره أو خطأ تستره يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا ربي يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي ومالك رقي يا من بيده ناصيتي يا عليما بضري ومسكنتي يا خبيرا بفقري وفاقتي يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا ربي يا رب يا ربي يا ربي يا ربي يا رب أسألك بحقك وقدسك وعظم صفاتك وأسمائك أن تجعل أوقاتي من الليل والنهار بذكرك معمورا وبخدمتك موصولا وأعمالي عندك مقبولا حتى تكون أعمالي وأورادي كلها وردا واحدا وحالي في خدمتك سرمدا يا سيدي يا من عليه معولي يا من إليه شكوت أحوالي يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا ربي يا رب رب يا ربي يا ربي يا ربي يا رب قو على خدمتك جوارحي واشدد على العزيمة جوانحي وهب لي الجد في خشيتك والدوام في الاتصال بخدمتك حتى أسرح إليك في ميادين السابقين وأسرع إليك في المبادرين واشتاق إلى قربك في المشتاقين وأدنو منك دنو المخلصين وأخافك مخافة الموقنين واجتمع في جوارك مع المؤمنين اللهم ومن أرادني بسوء فأرد ومن كادني فكد واجعلني من أحسن عبيدك نصيبا عندك وأقربهم منزلة منك وأخصهم ذلفة لديك فإنه لا ينال ذلك إلا بفضلك وجد لي بجودك واعطف علي بمجدك واحفظني برحمتك واجعل لساني بذكرك لهجا وقلبي بحبك متيما ومن علي بحسن إجابتك وأقلني عثرتي واغفر ظلتي فإنك قضيت على عبادك بعبادتك وأمرتهم بدعائك وضمنت لهم الإجابة فإليك يا ربي نصبت وجهي وإليك يا ربي مددت فبعزتك استجب لي دعائي وبلغني مناي ولا تقطع من فضلك رجائي واكفني شر الجن والإنس من أعدائي يا سريع الرضا يا سريع الرضا يا سريع الرضا اغفر لمن لا يملك إلا الدعاء فإنك فعال لما تشاء يا من اسمه دواء وذكره شفاء وطاعته غنى ارحم من راس ماله الرجاء وسلاحه البكاء يا سابغ النعم يا دافع النقام يا نور المستوحشين في الظلام يا عالما لا يعلم صل على محمد وآل محمد وافعل بي ما أنت أهله وصلى الله على رسوله والأئمة الميامين من آله وسلم تسليما كثيرا اللهم محمد وآل محمد وعجل الفاتحة بسم الله صلوا على محمد وآل محمد Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, dear brothers and sisters. أعظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم. Alhamdulillah, the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted us another opportunity during these ayyam, also commemorated as ayyam Fatimiyya, where we commemorate the martyrdom of that beloved princess of Arabia. Indeed, if her father is regarded the king who he is, indeed the Shahzadi Kaunain as remembered amongst the titles, Zahra, the beloved prophet of the beloved daughter of the beloved prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Fatima bint Muhammad alayha salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. And we offer our condolences, we convey our condolences to the Prophet and his blessed progeny, and especially to the Imam of our time, Ajjal Allahu Farajahu Sharif. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. And extending these condolences to all fellow brothers and sisters who are commemorating and marking this tragic event. Just a few announcements, brothers and sisters, inshallah, as we proceed. Alhamdulillah, we had the opportunity of hearing the beautiful recitation of Surah Yasin by Brother Fathi, and we had the opportunity of reciting dua, the supplication of Kumail alayhi salam together. Inshallah, there is a class that will take place that has already been started in the library for the children from the age of 7 to 13. That will be exploring the topic of Quranic appreciation, exploring Surah Yasin. And inshallah today we'll have the Majlis A'za, the talk given by respected Maulana Sheikh Saleem Bhimji, and inshallah tomorrow Sadat al-Jum'ah will take place over here at the IHS at 12:32 p.m. and that will also be led by Sheikh Saleem Bhimji. With the permission of the dear Sheikh, a few poetic verses in the honor of this noble lady. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Few poetic verses had been penned down by Sheikh Abul Hassan Muhammad Yasin, who writes this poem in the honor of this noble lady, remembering that indeed what a tragic, what a difficult night it would have been for the Amir, the Asadullah. Titling this poem, The Night the Lion Wept. The roar of victory of the Lion of God remains as such sempiternal. His bravery and courage at Badr, Uhud, and Khandaq and Khaybar all stand eternal. Endured do the chronicles of Ali's prowess and valor, but so too does the saga of the attack upon his door. From the occupants in the house of revelation to enemies in a blink, the scribes of the divine scrolls recorded these events in indissoluble ink. The worst of the worst did that day bring down God's ire when they set the door of Fatima's house on fire. Do not ask me about the story of the nail and its history, but ask the sanctified chest it pierced, the trove of divine mystery. The tears of the lion still fresh from the loss of Mahmud now flowed once again whilst his rose perished in her sujood. Here is a man whose strides turned enemies into mere scraps. I say his tears that day would cause the cosmos to collapse. No man or jinn could ever bring the lion to his knees, yet the two hands from the grave that night the day his heart sees. This very same lion unhinged and tossed the mighty gate of Khaybar, yet now deserted and destitute was the valiant Haydar. In Arabic a name adorns the lion in all of its states. Tell me, then what of the one who to his heartbreak capitulates, placing his withered flower in her tomb gently with her broken bone? Placing his withered flower in her tomb gently with her broken bone, he'd surely have filled the grave with his tears were Zainab not all alone. And so in the still of the night, while a nation deeply slept, the Lion of God at the grave of Zahra silently wept. The Lion of God at the grave of Zahra silently wept. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين سيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. And now I would like to request our respected speaker for tonight, Sheikh Saleem Bhimji, to address this Majlis Azza. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. ودي بزهراء سلام عليها بلندتر صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. As we begin, let's consider Surah Fatiha and ask Allah to give the thawab to all of the marhumin, the deceased from our family, our community, our friends, the ulama, the shuhada, and obviously for the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salatu was-salam. Surah Mubarakatul Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين المنتجبين لا سيما مولانا وسيدي صاحب العصر والزمان روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء وأجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف ولعنة دائمة على أعدائهم ومنكر فضائلهم الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. For the hastening of the return of our 12th Imam, Imam al-Hujjah, one salawat upon Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Muhammad. My dear brothers and sisters in Iman, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This evening we continue in our remembrance of Lady Zahra alayhi salam, the daughter of the Prophet's Fatima al-Zahra salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayha. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And if you were with us last week, you'll recall that we gave a very brief introduction to who Lady Zahra was from a historical perspective. And we also mentioned that we wanted to do an analysis of the very famous sermon that she delivered known as the Khutbah of Fadak. And last week we talked about a brief introduction to that sermon. And just as a refresher, I just wanted to remind ourselves about this actual khutbah that she delivered. That although the scholars have named this sermon the Sermon of Fadaqiyah, meaning the sermon about the land of Fadak, but as I mentioned last week, and as our scholars have continuously mentioned in their writings, that by us attributing the name of Fadak to this sermon, we've actually in a way done a disservice to Lady Zahra. A disservice in the sense that the sermon is much more in depth than just about a piece of land. Right? And if you've read the sermon, you'll know that the issue about Fadak, which she spoke about, it didn't take up a half or 3/4 of the sermon. She spoke about it in the context where it had to be mentioned, about her, either you can look at it as an inheritance at one level or as a gift that Rasulullah gave to her. But Fadak was really just one aspect of the overall sermon. Now, she gave a khutbah, a lecture, a sermon, a majlis to an audience of hundreds of the companions of Rasulullah. And in fact, the man who she was directly addressing was the man who had just very previously become the first caliph, Abu Bakr, as we talked about. And her sermon, again, as I said, it covered many different aspects of the religion. Last week, we looked at a brief portion. As I said, that we should go home and read this sermon. It's available in almost every major language, the translation of it. And in the beginning, she spoke about Tawheed, about the oneness of Allah. Now, keep in mind, when she gave this sermon, where she gave it to, and who she gave it to. When it was shortly after the death of Rasulullah, a week, 10 days, maybe 2 weeks at most after the death of the noble messenger. She gave it in the Masjid of Nabawi, in the Mosque of the Prophet. And she gave it to an audience who were Muslims. These weren't polytheists, they weren't disbelievers in Islam, they were Muslims. And for her to begin her khutbah, her sermon, with describing the oneness of Allah, and not just, there's one God. No, she went into detail about issues of Tawheed, where if you look at that sermon, it really baffles the imagination at how she was describing Allah. And now you may think that, and many scholars have thought about this fact and deliberated that she's speaking to Muslims who some of them have been Muslims since the day Rasulullah brought the message in the Mosque of the Prophet in Medina. Why would you spend minutes and minutes talking about Tawheed? They already believed in Tawheed. From there, she went into a general introduction about what the responsibilities of the Muslims are. I say are because not only at that time, but when we read the khutbah of Lady Zahra, it is as if we read it that she is delivering it today. Because the words of Ahlul Bayt, alayhum as-salam, they go on for generations. They're not limited to a time. Right? Just like we say the ayat of the Quran are timeless, they are not stationed in one era and then they stop and they cease to be relevant. The Quran is as relevant in the Hijaz 14 centuries ago as it is to you and I in Kitchener today. Yes, the verse will have a different understanding or a different methodology of implementation, but the verses of the Quran are alive. They continue to resonate over time. And if we believe that the Ahlul Bayt are the equals to the Quran, and we believe that because Rasulullah told us that he leaves behind the Quran and the Ahlul Bayt, and he says that they would never separate from one another. And if they will never separate from one another, their message is as timeless and eternal as the message of the Quran. And so what Lady Zainab said 14 centuries ago, it wasn't just for those Muhajirun and Ansar, the immigrants and the locals of Medina. Her words should resonate for you and I today, and they have an application in our life today. After she spoke about that introduction that I looked at last week, She then began to speak on two issues. I'm just going to talk about one of them tonight, and out of the one issue, I'm going to even narrow it down to 1/20th of what she spoke about, because there's a lot that she covered. In the beginning, she began to speak about the Quran, and I want to just maybe spend 5 or 10 minutes talking about the Quran. Now, if you've been to any lectures that I've delivered here, you'll know that this is something that I am very passionate about, that we as a community need to get beyond the mere recitation of the Quran. Yes, it's beautiful that we come in Ramadan, we read the Quran. But then what happens on the day of Eid or the night before Eid is we put the Quran on the shelf, we close the cabinet, and the Quran stays there till the next year of Ramadan. We have to realize, brothers and sisters, that the Quran, as I've termed it in a series that we're working on, is a living book. The Quran is a living entity. It's not just black on white, just ink on paper. It has a life of its own. It has an understanding that we have to take from it. And unfortunately, we as Muslims, not only us in this room, but really the Ummah on a whole around the world, we have not benefited from the Quran as Allah wants us to benefit from. You just look at the writings, for example, I'll give you just one example of our great scholar, a great mujtahid, a great marja in Qum, Ayatollah Shaykh Jafar Subhani, may Allah protect him, a commentator of Quran, a philosopher, expert in Islamic theology, in Islamic in jurisprudence. When he writes an introduction to the science of tafsir of the Quran, he tells us that it's the fault of us, the ulama, the scholars, that for centuries the ulama told the masses, your job is to pick up the Quran, read the Quran, memorize the Quran, learn the rules of tajweed, and then put the book back on the shelf. Don't think about the Quran. Don't learn the Quran. And he says that if you look, and he wrote this in the early 80s, he says you look at the state of affairs of the Muslim community from the Arab world to the non-Arab Muslim communities like Indonesia, like many other parts of the world, and you look at how backwards we are. And even today I would say the same, because we left the teachings of the Quran. Again, we teach it to children. They come to madrasa, we teach them the alif, ba, ta, we teach them the pronunciation, we tell them what surahs to memorize for the salat. But we have to ask ourselves that, do we teach understanding of the Quran in the madrasa system? Do we teach understanding of Quran outside of the madrasa system? And the fact is that we don't do it. And it's nobody's fault except the ulama of every community, because it's their responsibility. Myself included, although I'm not an alim, but I find it a responsibility that had we taught the Quran, many of the communities would not be in the state that we find ourselves today. And so what does Lady Zainab say? She says that Allah took a pledge from us, an ahd, a covenant about the Quran. Now this was a promise Allah gave us, or a pledge, would we hold on to the book. And we don't remember that pledge, when it happened, where it happened, but we promised Allah that yes, we will safeguard this Quran, we will read it, we will implement it, we will follow it. But the fact is that we don't know when we took that pledge, and for the vast majority of the Muslims today, we have forgotten that promise of Allah. And so Lady Zainab says that a pledge had been taken from you in advance by Allah, and there is amongst you His remembrance, that dhikr of Allah, and that is the book of Allah. And she calls it the speaking book, the speaking Quran. She says that this is Kitabullahi Natiq, the speaking Quran. Now, this is there's a bit of a paradox, a bit of a contradiction that comes into play, because on one hand, Lady Fatima is referring to a printed book, which are just words on paper, as Kitabullahi Natiq, the speaking Quran. But then you look at her husband, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam Ali alayhi salatu wassalam. And in the famous compilation of the hadith Wasail al-Shia, there's a hadith in volume 27 where Amir al-Mu'mineen is quoted as saying the following about the Quran. He says, هَذَا كِتَابُ اللَّهِ الصَّامِتِ, that this is the book of Allah, the silent book. And he says, وَأَنَا كِتَابُ اللَّهِ نَاطِقٌ, but I am the spoken book of Allah. Now, at first glance, you might say, well, these are two contradictions. The husband and wife are contradicting one another. Lady Fatima says the Quran is Kitabullahi Natiq, and Amir al-Mu'mineen is saying what? Kitabullahi Samit. It's a silent book. Now you and I think about it. Just think about it for a moment. If you have the app on your phone of the Quran, or you go to the shelf and pick up a Quran, you open it up, it's not speaking to you in words, right? It's still words, ink on paper. You're reading the book. It's not speaking verbally to you. It's not an audio book, right? Unless you have the MP3 playing, then it's an audio format. But otherwise, the Quran is a silent book. And what does she mean then, that the Quran is natiq? But Amir al-Mu'mineen says that the book is Kitab al-Samit. It is a silent book. There's no contradiction between husband and wife. They're not confusing one another or trying to confuse us. What she's saying is that when you and I read the Quran, yes, it is silent at that point when it's words. But when you and I are reading the book of Allah, it becomes a verbal communication between Allah and us. So the book is silent. It doesn't speak. It's paper. Paper doesn't speak. But when you and I read the words of Allah, it's as if Allah is speaking to us. That's one of the meanings. But at another level, is that when she says that this is the book of Allah, Natiq, and Amir al-Mu'mineen says it's Samit, and he is the Kitabullahi Natiq, you have to look at other ayat of the Quran. So for example, when Allah says, O you who believe, Ati'u Allah wa ati'u Rasul wa ulil amri minkum, obey Allah, obey the messenger and those in authority amongst you, that verse is now speaking to us and saying that if you want to know that book, go to the authorities. Go to Allah. Allah will say, I've given the book to my Prophet, go to the Rasul. The Rasul will say, after my death, go to Ulul Amr, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein, Imam Sajjad, Imam Baqir, Imam Sadiq, alayhim salam, all the way to the end. And although the book won't speak to you at the level of direct communication, verbal communication, but these Imams of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, and obviously as an addition, Lady Fatima alayhi salam, although not an Imam, but she's at a very high level, that she and they will speak and tell you what your responsibility is. So there is no contradiction between the words of Lady Zahra. The kitab is natiq. At the same time it is samit. It is speaking, but it is silent. And if you want to truly hear the book of Allah, you go to the one who is the interpreter of the book, and that is none other than Muhammad and Ali Muhammad alayhim wassalatu wassalam. From here, Lady Zahra goes on to mention 10 points about the Quran. I'm not going to mention them tonight. Again, you can go to her sermon and look at them. But she gives 10 different qualifications, qualities, traits about what the Quran is. And again, these are things that we need to read and reflect upon. And then when we read the book, when we read the Quran, we have to see how do we implement these 10 things that Lady Fatima alayhi salam is speaking about. But let me go to what I want to look at tonight. After this 10-point discussion of Lady Zahra about the Quran itself, she then begins a very important discussion that I think all of us would benefit from. And that is about the philosophy of the acts of worship. Why does Allah legislate certain things in our religion? Now she speaks about 20 different things, beginning with Iman and ending with Shirk and the negation of worshipping or associating anything with Allah. But we have to realize, and obviously I'm not going to go through all of them, I've just taken one for tonight. But we have to realize that this is one of the most important issues, I would say, in our relationship to Allah. You know, many times people will ask, and maybe we've thought about it ourselves, or our children have thought about it, but why does Allah make certain things wajib upon us? Why do we have to pray 5 times a day? Why can't we be like the Christians, go to church on a Sunday and that's it? Right? Why can't we just have a time of period of worship, an hour a week or 2 hours a week, and we're done? Why is there a constant need to pray to Allah? Why do we give khums? Why do we have acts of charity? Why? These are all questions that come into our minds, I'm sure, many times. That why did Allah put such, maybe what we feel to be a complicated and difficult religion together? There's so many acts I have to do, and my wudu has to be done from here down to here. I have to wash from top to bottom in a certain order, in a certain sequence. I can't break the sequence. Why? If Allah doesn't need my worship, why is He so concerned with how I do all of these acts of worship? And Lady Zahra alayhi salam, and the way our commentators have explained her sermon, she tries to give us a better understanding of why Allah put this entire religion in the way that He did. Why did He make the salat an act as it is, performed in a certain way? Why all of the prerequisites that we have to follow? Why can't we take shortcuts? Why can't we just pray to God in our own language, in our own way? Why do you and I have to, let's say, fast Ramadan in the summer in Canada, when some parts of Canada the fast will go to 20 hours, and then in the winter we're down to 8-hour fast? Why are all of these rules there? In this third portion, I would say, of the sermon of Lady Zahra, the sermon of Fadak, again, keep in mind what I said in the beginning. She was speaking to people who were Muslims in Medina, who had been with the Prophet, some of them for the entire Nubuwwat. And now she's speaking to them about acts of ibadah. They prayed for 23 years. They fasted for 23 years. They've done jihad. They've done hajj. Again, I'm not going to mention all 20 points, but one thing to keep in mind. She began the discussion with Iman, which we're going to look at tonight. She talked about the salat, about the prayers, about fasting, about hajj. And then she talks about adalat, about justice in society. And then you would think in a rational manner, if she's going to follow a rational order, she would do all of the furu'adeen, right? The salat and zakat and hajj and khums and all of them, all 10 in order, you would think. But she broke it up. She talked about praying, fasting, hajj. And then she jumps to two things which seem to be out of the ordinary, or out of the sequence of events. She talks about following the Ahlul Bayt, as what she calls as nizam, order for the nation, and the imamat of the imams. And then from there she goes back into the furu'adeen. Scholars have sat and deliberated on this point, that why would she do that? Right? Did she, na'udhu billah, make a mistake? Was her frame of thinking not correct, that she couldn't remember all the furu'adeen at once, say all 10, and then go to imamat and Ahlul Bayt and everything else that she wanted to talk about, not about, for example, not stealing and being just in business? No, we have to realize that every word of the Ahlul Bayt, just like the Quran, is said for a wisdom. You look at the Quran, and sometimes you could say, and people have brought up this accusation against the Quran, that why did Allah say certain things in a certain way? It's almost like sometimes Allah used too many words. He could have shortened the verse, made it more concise, and made it easier. But we believe that every letter, every word, every vowel point of every word of the Quran is for a benefit. There's a reason behind it. And if we believe that for the Quran, that Allah would not say anything to waste our time, then we have to realize the Ahlul Bayt alayhum as-salam are exactly the same. That they don't say things just to waste our time, to pass time, to make a majlis or a lecture longer than it should be. Right? She said what she said in the order that she said it because it was a wisdom behind it. And maybe one of the things would be that had she begun her khutbah by saying Allah had made the obedience to us, the Ahlul Bayt, wajib, those who were acting against Lady Zahra and taking away Fadak, they would have just tuned out. They would not have listened to her sermon. Right? Had she started with imamat, they could have said, well, we don't know what imamat is. We believe in khilafat. We believe in the caliph being chosen by the masses. And so it's as if that she wanted to protect the words by putting them in the middle. Right? It's like when people ask us about the event of Ghadir. You look at Ghadir from the Quran, when Allah talks about Ayyawma akmaltu lakum dinakum, where is that verse found? Yes, it's in Surah Al-Ma'idah chapter 5, but before it, the whole discussion is nothing about wilayat. It's about what kind of food is haram to eat. Meat of animals not slaughtered Islamically, animals dying on their own, blood, all of those things. And then Allah talks and He says, Al-Yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum. And then at the end, again Allah talks about if you're in a state of difficulty and you have no other food, then you can eat that, which is normally haram. So it's almost like Allah wanted to preserve the verse of Ghadir and put it between a longer verse so that people would think about it more deeply. Right? It's like you look at a pearl. You know, pearls that women wear, the pearl necklace. Where do you find them? You find them in an oyster, and they're in the deep waters. Right? They're not just open for you to go and pluck like pebbles on the beach, on a sandy beach. They're way down in the water. That's where the diamonds are. Right? Diamonds aren't on the surface of the ground. They have to be maybe tens of kilometers down, or coal, or oil, or gold. Because they're valuable, so they're way deep down. You have to go and work at it to get them out. Maybe that's why Lady Zahra talked about the Ahlul Bayt in the middle of that. That let the people realize the salat, the iman, the jihad, all of those things, and then ease into the Ahlul Bayt and the imamat, and then go back to the rest of the teachings. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. And we have to realize that as a Muslim ummah globally, one of the reasons I would say that we have gotten to the state where we have is because of the fact that most of the Muslim ummah forgot the two weighty things. When Rasulullah gave his farewell Hajj, and this is a khutbah, a sermon that Prophet made that all Muslims, Shias and Sunnis have narrated, that he stood and he says that I leave behind me two weighty things. That if you follow both of them, he said you would never go astray. In tamassuktum bihima, lan tudillu ba'di abadan. Kitab Allah wa itrati ahl bayti. The Kitab of Allah, the Book of Allah, the Quran, and my Ahlul Bayt. And then he went on to say that they will never separate from one another. They will meet, they will be together at the fountain of Kawthar. And so the Prophet said, so see how you deal with both of these. And I would say as a Muslim community, unfortunately, we have not done justice to both of these. Again, you just have a cursory glance at the ummah around the world. You see the problems the community faces around the Muslim world. And we realize that we have forgotten one or the other of these things, or both of them. We've left the Ahlul Bayt, we've said the Quran and other people around the Prophet. Or some of us have said, well, the Quran is too difficult. I'll just come to Muharram Majlis and cry for Hussein and cry for the Ahlul Bayt and everything will be okay. No, we have to realize that both go together. Both go hand in hand. The Quran explains the Ahlul Bayt. The Ahlul Bayt explain the Quran. You can't understand charity in its truest sense, infaq, fi sabilillah, in the way of Allah, until you know the Ahlul Bayt. Until you know the verse, وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا, that they feed out of love. They feed the yatim, the orphan, and the captive, and the poor. Until you know that what the history of that verse was and how it came about the Ahlul Bayt, you and I cannot know charity to give in the way of Allah. We can't know sacrifice until we read the Quran where Allah says, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَشْرِ نَفْسَهُ ابْتِغَاءَ مَرْضَاتِ اللَّهِ, that of people is one who sacrifices his soul for the pleasure of Allah. We won't know what it means to sacrifice till we know Amir al-Mu'mineen. And that goes for every virtue, every fadila, every akhlaqi trait. Unless we know Ala Muhammad, we would never know the Quran. And unless we know the Quran, we can never know Ala Muhammad alayhim as-salatu was-salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And so let me go to what Lady Zahra says, the very first point of this sermon, where she goes into the philosophy of some of the actions of this religion. She says, فَجَعَلَ اللَّهُ الْإِيمَانِ تَطْهِيرًا لَكُمْ مِنَ الشِّرْكِ. She said that Allah has placed Iman, true belief, as a means of purification for you from shirk, from polytheism. Now, again, there's a few points that I want to make before we can go to better understand this one line of her sermon. Again, keep in mind who she's speaking to. The Sahaba, companions of Rasulullah. Some of them were with the Prophet from day one, 23 years beside Rasulullah. Some of them could have been Muslims a day or a week or a month before this event, but a vast majority were Muslims for at least 5, 10, 15 years, because they came from Mecca, some of them from Medina, they became Muslims, whatever they were. They knew Islam. They knew the basics at least. If they didn't know tafsir of Quran and pronunciation of every verse, they knew the basics of Islam. And so why would Lady Zahra begin this part where she goes into the philosophy of ibadah, of worship, talking about Iman, faith? They're all Muslims apparently, or mu'mins apparently. And what we have to realize, the few things that I want to draw from this, is she made a distinction here between Islam and Iman. She didn't say, وَجَعْلَ اللَّهُ الْإِسْلَامِ تَطْهِيرًا مِنَ الشِّرْكِ, that Allah made Islam as a purification. She used the word Iman. Now you'll know if you've attended previous sessions here that we've talked about the fact that there is a stark difference between Iman and Islam. In fact, one of our scholars gives 18 differences for Iman and Islam. They're not the same. You and I sometimes use them interchangeably. She's a mu'min, he's a mu'min, they are Muslims. But there's a very subtle difference in the Quran. Although the Quran will sometimes, on a very few rare occasions, Allah will use these two interchangeably. But for the most part, Allah recognizes the fact that Iman is not Islam. Meaning when you and I say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, we become Muslims. We've submitted to Allah. We've submitted to God. Now somebody out there says the Shahadatain, they become Muslim. They're not najis, for example, according to some of the scholars who say that they may have been najis before. They slaughter an animal, you can eat it. They come and ask for your daughter's hand in marriage. You can give it to them because they're Muslim. But Iman is a level higher than that. And even Allah says in the Quran, وَقَالَتِ الْأَعْرَابِ آمَنَّا. The desert Arabs would come to the Prophet and say, we believe. Allah tells the Prophet, tell them, he says, وَقُولُوا لَمْ تُؤْمِنُوا وَلَكِنْ قُولُوا أَسْلَمْنَا. Don't say you believe, say that you have submitted. Because true faith has not yet entered into the heart. So Iman and Islam are two different things. But Lady Zahra, she says, وَجَعْلَ اللَّهُ الْإِيمَانِ, that Allah has made Iman a purification for shirk. Even there's an issue of debate. Because if you think about it, the opposite of Iman isn't shirk, it's kufr, belief and disbelief. But why would she say polytheism, shirk? Again, she's talking to Muslims. One of the interpretations might be that she's referring to the hidden shirk. Meaning that anytime you or I or anybody disobeys Allah, even though they're Muslims, they're mu'min, they are in a way committing shirk of Allah. Because we're saying that Allah, you told me X, Y, and Z is wajib, I'm going to do something contrary. So it's as if I am disregarding Allah and following what somebody else wants me to do. In other words, I'm setting up a rival, a partner with Allah. Maybe that's why she uses shirk instead of kufr. That these people in front of her, the companions of Rasulullah who had taken away fadak, who had taken away the khilafat from Amir al-Mu'mineen, who were going down a path of their own self-destruction, that they were disregarding the orders of Allah. They were using their own thoughts, or they were relying on other companions to act in the way that they did, in a way that they were committing a hidden form of shirk by refraining from following the Quran and following those who were working against the teachings of the Quran. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. One of the points I wanted to mention from this tonight, a theological, philosophical discussion, is the fact that Lady Zahra is showing us in this portion and in the entire sermon, really in actuality, that there is a difference between just believing and believing with actions. There's a stark difference, and this is even a challenge or an issue that has come up even in today's day and age. It came in from Christian philosophers and atheist philosophers, and then it came into the world of Islam. This issue where you can be a good person, you can do acts of goodness, charity, build hospitals, help orphans, help the needy, but you don't have to necessarily be a religious person. That you can just be a good person and you can get to heaven, you can get to paradise. Now I want to talk about this very briefly, but also to realize that at the end of the day, none of us can play God. Right? None of us in this room have the right to say who's going to heaven and who's going to hell, unless the Quran itself has given us a clear indication on a person going to hell, like Fir'aun as an example, or Abu Lahab, Tabbat Yada Abi Lahab wa Tab, and his wife. Unless Allah has given you and I verses of the Quran or the Prophet or the Imams have direct hadith where they specifically mention people, or and those hadith are verified, you and I are in no position to condemn people to hell. So I just want to make that clear, that when we talk about heaven and hell and who is going where, nobody in this room, no Muslim has a right to judge anybody. Right? You and I might think the worst people to go to hell, but we don't know what they're like inside. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that we can't judge people. Right? People tell us, you have no right to judge other Muslims. You don't know what they do in private. And that's true. We don't know. Maybe there are people who are praying Salatul Layl every night and giving away money left and right. But we are told to judge by the apparent. We are told to judge people by what we can see of them. We don't go and peek in people's windows to see are they committing a sin, that they're bad people. No. If a person is righteous, we look them to be a good person, we accept them. And you'll say, well, where is the proof of this, that you can judge people? The clearest indication that you and I have that we have a right to judge Muslims is the fact that we have a concept of Salatul Jama'at. And one of the conditions, if not the first condition for the Imam of Jama'at, is adalat, is justice. What does it mean, justice? It doesn't mean he's ma'soom or she's ma'sooma, they're infallible. No, it means that you've not seen them commit sins, or you've not heard people tell you that they commit sins. If you go on Facebook today, you Google a Maulana, and you see there's pictures of him in places doing haram, then you have to ask yourselves, can I pray behind him? If he's committing sins, that's one thing, let him commit the sins. But if he's promoting it on his Facebook page, it doesn't matter how big his beard is, how big the turban is. If he's doing sins, you can't pray behind him. It's simple as that. So we have a right to judge people. We don't pry in their lives. We don't go and follow them and have a private investigator see what they're doing. But if they're committing sins and they're promoting it or talking about it on social media, again, whether they're a Maulana or a Sheikh or a scholar or anybody else, we have to at that time judge that individual based on what we see of their character. Whether they go to heaven or hell, that's not for you and I to decide. That's up to Allah. We let Allah judge. But we cannot say we're not going to talk about that, those sins. We have a responsibility to call out a sin if we see it. If somebody talks about women who don't wear hijab, it doesn't mean that they're condemning specific people in the community. It means we see a problem, we have to discuss it because we need to solve the challenge. We can't hide our head in the ground like an ostrich and say we're a perfect community, we have no problems. No, we have to realize when we have the challenges, and then as a community, the scholars, the elders, those who have been here for the pioneers of any community, they have to sit together and say, look, these are issues we're facing. How can we address them to help our next generation to maintain and preserve this religion of Islam? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So let me just go back to this point and I'll conclude tonight. That how do we believe, or where do we understand the position? Is it enough just to say I believe? Or to only, or I say I believe and I don't perform good actions? I don't pray, I don't fast, I don't do the Hajj when I have to? Or the other side, I don't believe in God. I don't believe there's a God. I don't believe in heaven and hell. This is all made up. But I give in charity, I help the poor, I help the homeless. God will reward me, or that thing will reward me. Well, we have to realize that Islam, it has that balance. You and I read these verses every day. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. Those who believe and who do good actions. Allah doesn't say just believe and that's it. Allah doesn't say just do good actions and that's all. No, there has to be a combination. And Allah gives us a very beautiful parable in chapter 14, Surah Ibrahim, verse 18, to beautifully describe this. He says, مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا بِرَبِّهِمْ. The example of those who disbelieve in their Lord, in regards to their actions, he says, أَعْمَالُهُمْ كَرَمَادٍ اشْتَدَّتْ بِهِ الرِّيحُ فِي يَوْمٍ آسِفٍ. Their actions, their good deeds are like ashes on a day when a wind blows, on a stormy day when the heavy wind blows. لَا يَقْدِرُونَ مِمَّا كَسَبُوا عَلَى شَيْءٍ. Right? Imagine you go out, it's 50, winds of 50 kilometers an hour outside. Imagine you go into your kitchen, you take a handful of flour, of baking flour, you hold it in your hand and you go outside. And the 50 kilometer an hour wind is blowing. What's going to happen? That flour is going to be gone. Be gone in the wind. Right? Allah says a person who doesn't believe, they, as He says, مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ كَفَّرُوا بِرَبِّهِمْ. They disregard Allah. They don't believe in God. They reject God. He says their actions are like ashes on a windy day, on a stormy day. The wind comes and blows the ashes away. The disbeliever who does good actions, Allah clearly says, their actions are gone to the wind. They did good in this world. They built maybe a mosque. You have many times non-Muslims come and say, I'm going to give you $10,000 to build a masjid. Great, thank you. You've gotten your reward now. Don't expect God to give it to you at the end when you don't believe in Him. God can say, you didn't believe in me. What? Now I'm here, but you don't believe in me, so why should I give you anything? So we have to understand, and it's a lengthy discussion because of time. I can't go into much more detail tonight, maybe another night. But just to sum up this discussion before I conclude, is that both have to be there. Iman has to be there, belief, and good actions. You can't have one without the other. You can't say, I'm going to be a good Muslim, but I'm not going to fulfill my right. And this is what Lady Zahra was telling these companions, that you're Muslims, you're Sahaba, Muhajirun, Ansar, Badriyun, you're from the war of Badr, from Uhud, from Khaybar, Khandak. You had all of those beliefs. But if you're depriving me of my right, if you're depriving my husband of his haqq of imamah, what is your iman worth? It's like the ashes in the wind. Like Allah says in Surah Ibrahim, that your actions aren't in line with your iman. You're claiming iman, you're claiming to be Muslims, but your actions don't, they don't resonate in that way. They don't fit what you're talking about. And so we have to realize that Lady Zainab alayha salam, when she made this declaration in the sermon of Fadak, it wasn't, again, just about a piece of land. She could have gotten it. When Amir al-Mu'mineen took over the Khilafat, he was told, take back Fadak. You have an opportunity, you're the Khalifa. Who can say anything to you? But he didn't do it. And there is a reason, maybe we'll talk about it next week. But the moral of the story for tonight, brothers and sisters, is that this sermon was delivered for a reason, for those people definitely, and for you and I, that we need to ensure that our iman is such that we don't fall into that trap that these people did. They claimed Islam, they claimed iman, they claimed to be companions of the Prophet, and maybe they were in the truest sense of that word, of a companion. But when it came to the way they treated the Ahlul Bayt, when it comes to how they treated Lady Zahra alayha salam, they definitely showed that there was some deficiency in their iman. For a person to go to Lady Zahra, a woman who was so honest, she was Siddiqa, she was Tahira, she was a woman who you and I, whatever we say about her praise is nothing. When Allah says, Inna a'tainaka al-Kawthar, that I have given you, O Rasulullah, al-Kawthar. Al-Kawthar, the Shia and Sunni ulama say, is Lady Zahra alayha salam. When Allah can reveal verse after verse, entire chapters about Lady Zahra alayha salam, and her purity, and infallibility, and immaculate character, how can anybody have the right to go to Lady Zahra and take the deed of Fadak, that will, that testament that says that Fadak is your property, and rip it and throw it in her face? Brothers and sisters, as we continue in these ayam and layali al-Fatimiyya, these nights where we remember Lady Zahra alayha salam, we remember those tragedies that happened to Lady Fatima after the demise of Rasulullah. As I said last week, and we'll continue on this tonight, that after the death of the Prophet, as his body lay without having the ghusl given to it, without the kafan being given to Rasulullah, that a group of people had gathered in the Saqif of Bani Sa'ida, this tented area of the tribe of Bani Sa'ida, to deliberate and debate on who the leader of the Ummah would be. Meanwhile, their Nabi, their Rasul, their Habib was sitting with his body lying on the ground without even having the ghusl being given to it. We stress so much in our community that if our loved one passes away, that we try to bury them the same day to give the ghusl and the kafan, that they don't have a moment without going back to Allah. And yet the Muslims of that time, the companions of that time of Rasulullah, leave the body of the Prophet for 3 days to debate and argue on the Khilafat of the Ummah of Rasulullah. Brothers and sisters, finally, as some of the historians mention, that after the death of Rasulullah on the 28th of Safar, some historians mention that 8 days Lady Fatima didn't leave the house. For 8 days she sat crying, not because she was unhappy with the ridayat of Allah, not because she had any misgivings in the hukm of Allah and the judgment that Allah would take her father Rasulullah, but just at the sadness and the sorrow of the revelation being cut, of all of the love that she had for Rasulullah. The same Prophet that tells us that Lady Zahra was so beloved to him, that whenever Rasulullah would leave the city of Medina to go out of the city for a battle or for an expedition, the very last house that he would see was the house of Bibi Fatima, that he would go to the house of Fatima alayha salam. This is the same Lady Zahra that we're commemorating tonight, that every time Rasulullah would come back to Medina, the very first house that he would go to is the house of his daughter, Lady Zahra alayha salam. We're told in the hadith, brothers and sisters, that Bibi Fatima was so loved to Rasulullah that his other wives in Medina would get jealous and angry at Rasulullah, that why do you show Zahra so much love? We're your wives, we're so much better than maybe your daughter could have been. And Rasulullah would tell those wives, he would tell the wives that any time I wanted to smell Jannah, the fragrance of paradise, because remember that Rasulullah, the conception of Lady Fatima began when Rasulullah went on to the Mi'raj into Jannah. That Rasulullah would tell the wives that whenever I want to smell Jannah and remember that feeling, I would go and smell the fragrance of Lady Zahra, because she reminded me of paradise so much. Can you imagine, brothers and sisters, the same lady that reminded Rasulullah of Jannah, the one that was born from the fruits of heaven that Jibreel brought to Lady Khadija alayhi salam in Mecca. The same daughter of Rasulullah is now being attacked in the city of Medina. Her inheritance of Fadak has been stolen from her. She goes to the sermon of Fadakiyah in the Masjid of Rasulullah. Eventually, as we know, after her haqq has been taken one after the other, as we mentioned even last week, that Amir al-Mu'mineen, he began to receive complaints from the people of Medina. They began to say that your wife is crying too much, that all day she's crying in her home. We can't do anything in the day. We can't work. We're unproductive in the day. They say that we tried to get sleep at night and your wife is crying all night. Can you tell your wife to be a bit more quiet? Either tell her to cry in the day and be quiet at night, or to be quiet in the day and stay crying all night. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, I'll take your request to my beloved wife, Lady Zahra. Eventually, Amir al-Mu'mineen takes himself outside of the city. He goes into Jannatul Baqi, into the graveyard of Baqi. He builds a small little hut for Lady Fatima. He calls that hut Baytul Ahzan, the house of sorrows. And every day Lady Zahra would leave. She would go with the young children, Hassan and Hussein alayhim salam, and she would go through Jannatul Baqi. She would first visit her grave of her father, Rasulullah. She would go to Jannatul Baqi and cry over the tragedies of the Ummah, that they have left the teachings of the Quran, that they have left the teachings that her father struggled for 23 years to bring. And then at night she would come back into the city. And how could she go through these days and nights, brothers and sisters, knowing the tragedy of her father, knowing the tragedy of her husband, knowing the tragedies that she went through after the death of Rasulullah. And it's for this fact that only 75 days, or a maximum of 95 days after the death of her father, that Lady Zahra leaves this world. That she leaves this world madluma, as a woman who has been oppressed, who had her rights taken from her, who had her husband's rights taken from him, and that eventually the rights of each and every one of her children, from Imam Hassan to Imam Hussein to Lady Zainab to the last of the Imams, who have their rights taken from them one after the other after the other. وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنْقَلِبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ إِنَّ لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. We ask Allah بِحَقِّ Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad to accept this act of worship from us tonight. We ask Allah to give the thawab of this majlis, the thawab of Surah Yasin, the thawab of the Dua Kumail, to all of the marhumeen, the deceased from our family, our community, our friends. We ask Allah to give a thawab of this majlis tonight to all of the ulama who have left this world, to all of the shuhada who have given their blood for the sake of Islam, and to the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam for giving their lives for us to be able to speak about them and in the teachings of Allah. We ask Allah to join us with Muhammad and Ali Muhammad on the Day of Judgment, and that we can benefit from the shafaat of Lady Zahra and her father and her husband and her children. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein. Brothers and sisters, as you heard the dear Sheikh reciting the Masayib of Lady Zahra, the poet pens as though this Lady of Light would cry and call upon her father, "Oh my father, indeed, as those notable poetry of this lady, this mercy of this lady, Subbat alayya Masayib, that indeed your daughter was afflicted with so afflictions, that if those difficulties were shown on bright days, it would turn into dark nights. Hai Baba, तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है. हाय बाबा, तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है. हाय बाबा, तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है. हाय बाबा, तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है. हाय बाबा, तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है. हाय बाबा, तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है. कैसे दरवाज़ा हटाऊं, कैसे मोहसिन को बचाऊं, सांस सीने में रुकी है. तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है. हाय बाबा, तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है। हाय बाबा तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है। हाथ में जिसके मेरा हाथ दिया था तुमने, कह के मन कुन तो जिसे मौला कहा था तुमने। मैंने हर मोड़ पे बाबा साथ उसका है निभाया। हाँ मेरा जुर्म यही है, तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है। हाय बाबा तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है। हाय बाबा तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है। तेरी उम्मत ने बना दी है ये हालत बाबा, कोई पसली भी नहीं मेरी सलामत बाबा। सांस लेती हूँ मैं जिस दम, घुटने लगता है मेरा दम। सिर्फ मरने की कमी है, तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है। हाय बाबा तेरी ज़हरा मुसीबत की घड़ी है। हाय बाबा तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत है। कभी दरबार में पेशी को बुलाते हैं हमें, कभी दरवाजे पे आके सताते हैं हमें। मेरे ये फूल से बच्चे पूछते हैं यही मुझसे, क्या खता हमसे हुई है। तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है। हाय बाबा तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है। हाय बाबा तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत है। शर्म आती है भला तुमको बताऊं कैसे, ये तमाचों के निशा तुमको दिखाऊं कैसे। तुम न पहचान सकोगे, देख कर मुझसे कहोगे, क्या मेरी ज़हरा यही है। तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है। हाय बाबा तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है। ये अज़ियत ये खामोशी नहीं देखी जाती, मुझसे तन्हाई अली की नहीं देखी जाती। तेरा पैगाम सुनाने, हक विलायत का बताने, ज़हरा घर घर में गई है। तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है। हाय बाबा तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है। क़ब्र ज़हरा से तकल्लुम ये सदा आती है, कितनी सदियों से मेरे कब्र पे वीरानी है, फूल तुर्बत पे चढ़ाने एक दिया ला के जलाने, क्या मदीने में कोई है, तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है, हाय बाबा ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है, या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन, सल्लु अला मुहम्मद व आलि मुहम्मद। شو إن شاء الله أحسنت. متوجه زيارة.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أزور سيدي ومولاي ومعتمدي ورجائي ذخري وذخيرتي في آخرتي ودنياي، مولاي أبا عبد الله الحسين عليه السلام، أصالة عن نفسي ونيابة عن والدي، قربة إلى الله تعالى. السلام عليك يا وارث آدم صفوة الله، السلام عليك يا وارث نوح النبي الله، السلام عليك يا وارث إبراهيم خليل الله، السلام عليك يا وارث موسى كليم الله، السلام عليك يا وارث عيسى روح الله، السلام عليك يا وارث محمد حبيب الله، السلام عليك يا وارث أمير المؤمنين ولي الله، السلام عليك يا ابن محمد المصطفى، السلام عليك يا ابن علي المرتضى، السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء، السلام عليك يا ابن خديجة الكبرى، السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور. أشهد أنك قد أقمت الصلاة وآتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وأطعت الله ورسوله حتى أتاك اليقين، فلعن الله أمة قتلتك، ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك، ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأصلاب الشامخة والأرحام المطهرة، لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها، ولم تلبسك من مدلهمات ثيابها، وأشهد أنك من دعائم الدين وأركان المؤمنين، وأشهد أنك الإمام البر التقي الرضي الزكي الهادي المهدي، وأشهد أن الأئمة من ولدك كلمة التقوى وأعلام الهدى والعروة الوثقى والحجة على أهل الدنيا. وأشهد الله وملائكته وأنبياءه ورسله أني بكم مؤمن وبإيابكم موقن، بشرائع ديني وخاتم عملي، وقلبي لقلبكم سلم، وأمري لأمركم متبع. صلوات الله عليكم وعلى أرواحكم وعلى أجسادكم وعلى أجسامكم وعلى شاهدكم وعلى غائبكم وعلى ظاهركم وعلى باطنكم. زيارة علي الأكبر عليه السلام. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله. السلام عليك يا ابن نبي الله. السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا ابن الحسين الشهيد. السلام عليك أيها الشهيد وابن الشهيد. السلام عليك أيها المظلوم وابن المظلوم. لعن الله أمة قتلتك، ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك، ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. الشهداء السعداء عليهم السلام. السلام عليكم يا أولياء الله وأحباءه. السلام عليكم يا أصفياء الله وأوداءه. السلام عليكم يا أنصار دين الله. السلام عليكم يا أنصار رسول الله. السلام عليكم يا أنصار أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليكم يا أنصار فاطمة سيدتي نساء العالمين. السلام عليكم يا أنصار أبي محمد الحسن بن علي الولي الزكي الناصح. السلام عليكم يا أنصار أبي عبد الله. بأبي أنتم وأمي طبتم وطعمت الأرض التي فيها دفنتم وفزتم فوزا عظيما، فيا ليتني كنت معكم فأفوز معكم. أبو الفضل العباس عليه السلام. السلام عليك يا أبا الفضل العباس ابن أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا ابن سيد الوصيين. السلام عليك يا ابن أول القوم إسلاما وأقدمهم إيمانا وأقومهم بدين الله وأحوطهم على الإسلام. أشهد لقد نصحت لله ولرسوله ولأخيك، فنعم الأخ المواسي. فلعن الله أمة قتلتك، ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك، ولعن الله أمة استحلت منك المحارم وانتهكت حرمة الإسلام. فنعم الصابر المجاهد المحامي الناصر والأخ الدافع عن أخيه المجيب إلى طاعة ربه الراغب فيما زهد فيه غيره من الثواب الجزيل والثناء الجميل. وألحقك الله بدرجة آبائك في جنات النعيم. اللهم صل على محمد. دعاء صاحب الزمان عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. All together. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلوات في هذه الساعة وفي كل وليا وحافظا وقائدا ودليلا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.
Brothers and sisters, as we know, this is the night, the Shabir Jummah. If we can all recite the Ayah Karima 5 times for our fulfillment of our legitimate desires, for the fulfillment of our legitimate desires, for those who are sick among our community, especially been asked that Brother Mehdi's mother, she's ill. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He bestows all those who are ill from our community, those who are sick, with complete and speedy recovery. For those who are away from their homes, for their safe return back to their homes, for the safety and security for all the fellow believers, for the safety and security of our ulama, and for the hastening of the advent of al-Hujjah, and for us being counted amongst this ashab and ansar. If you can recite the Ayah Karima 5 times. times. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء 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 اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعجب. Brothers and sisters, if I can request you all to recite al-Fatiha for all the marhumin, for the ulama, the muhsinan Islam who have left this world, for the shuhada of Islam, especially for those marhumin who have recently deceased, Brother Hassan, Mahdi Ridwi, Sabra Khatun bint Aqil Hussein, Dhamir Fatima, and include all the marhumin, and especially for those marhumin who don't have anyone left in this world to recite al-Fatiha for them. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alayhim.